What's the difference between a living doll and a golem? Do they require different kinds of magic rituals to create them? What do corpse puppets fall under?
What an oddly specific question. It depends which mythology you're going to indulge in, whatever game or whatever else you're doing. I mean, the classic golem is made of clay. Would be the Golem of Prague, which was animated by Kabbalistic magic, and the Chem, the paper in its mouth that tells it to live, and in some versions gives it its instructions. Other golems in typical RPGs tend to be constructs, so built out of objects, materials, iron, and so on. In Iron Council by China Mayville, there are golems that are made of other things, including thoughts and other esoterica. So I guess you can just say it's an artificial being. That gets confused when you get to things like flesh golems, which are really more like Frankenstein's monster Adam in most ways, and yet are treated as constructs rather than undead, at least in Dungeons and Dragons. That never necessarily made much sense to me. I mean, sure, it might have been animated by science, depending on the setting, rather than magic, but it's still reanimated dead flesh. Of course, this creates all kinds of confusing things in lots of games. If I die for 5 minutes and someone resuscitates me, am I now undead? Interesting question. And how does that differ? I guess Frankenstein's monsters, flesh constructs, they're built of disparate parts rather than the whole being resurrected exactly. But yeah, that's gonna get confusing. Undead typically are still dead in every way that matters, and they are animated by evil magic, or in D&D primarily evil theism for the most part. At least I think that's right. So that's different. There's something evil you did in life, or your body being possessed by a spirit and brought back to life. Those sorts of things. You know, some undead retain their mortal intelligence. Some seem to be mindless. But there is something spiritual about them. As for living dolls, I mean, are we talking Chucky? Are we talking Mannequin? Are we talking Annabelle? What are we talking here? You know, that could be any of a bunch of different things, or in a science fiction setting, it could be artificial intelligence, or something that is at least a very good mimic of intelligence. So there are no good clear answers here. It depends on the mythology that you're tapping into. So I would suggest think on that, because it's gonna vary by setting, by game, by whatever else. I can't give you a specific singular answer.